الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us this evening. If it's your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, it's lovely to see you again. And thank you for choosing to join us again. So, my daily request always is to begin with asking everybody who's seated on the floor to move as far forward as possible, all the way front to the white steps if you can. This is to provide space for those who might be joining us a little later on. Thank you so much for that. Your effort is always recognized and appreciated. Technology gets a bad rep, but thanks to YouTube for stepping in today, bringing the world-class recitations directly into our ears. And speaking of world-class, Al-Mahdi Institute is renowned for that world-class scholarship and is responsible for a provision of a vital platform for open, authentic, conscientious, ethical, and critical study of Islam. Aside from the cutting edge research, Al Mahdi Institute offers an online HOSA program and in the final year provides the option to do a master's with the University of Birmingham. There's lots of information available on the website, which is almahdi.edu, or grab yourself a prospectus or the latest edition of the Insights program from the foyer. We've truly entered this week. We have a limited opportunity now to sponsor the programs, or if you feel inclined to donate to the Institute, donations in any form, cash or card, can be made in reception. And speaking about donations, if you are able to contribute, there is an Ashura food drive collection, and there's several posters dotted around which describe some of the items that you can deposit into the container, the plastic containers in the reception. Thank you for Time for Change and Who's Hussein for organising that. This year's lecture series is sponsored on behalf of the marhumeens whose names are displayed on the TV screen located outside of the chapel. Please can recite a Surah Fatiha and observe a moment's silence for these marhumeen and all other marhumeen. Just some housekeeping. So in case of any emergency, the fire exits are located at the back of the chapel, the main entrance outside of the chapel, and the double doors by the dining room. We do have extra capacity for overflow for anyone who needs it, and it also affords a little more comfort for our younger attendees if they require it. So our young attendees have been having a series of their own programming in the dining hall in parallel to these lectures, and that's for children reception age to year 6. Thank you to those volunteers who have organized and continue to organize those programs. And our programming continues tomorrow night, starting at 8 p.m. with Quran, followed by lecture, matam, ziyarat, salah, and refreshments. If you've missed out on a lecture, and I really implore you, if you have missed out on a lecture, please go back and listen to it, and you can do so on the YouTube page. The lectures will be available. If you can't make it in person, you can also go to shaykharif.com/live. And there's also a downloadable PDF with the Arabic verses on there, which are mentioned in the lecture. And that's really important because Shaykh is often referring to a number of verses as well. So to stay up to date with all things AMI, subscribe on social media, or even ask at reception about joining the WhatsApp mailing list if you haven't already. So that's all for announcements, and soon I'll ask Shaykh to take his seat for tonight's lecture, which is part 7. We've been encouraged to bring and utilize our devices to follow the verses. He really asks us to have a look at what those translations are, and he refers to those as well. So, similar to yesterday, to improve our form, let's repeat yesterday's challenge. So in the following order, you'll have to recite one salawat, move forward, recite another salawat, get your devices ready, and recite a third and final salawat to welcome Shaykh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Can anybody who can move forward now, please, as well? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And you can get those devices ready as well. And then Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala
رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين وأصحابه المنتجبين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى قيام يوم الدين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمسابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين عليه الصلاة والسلام. Pursuing with our topic. So we said we have some naive assumptions, and due to those assumptions, rationally life does not make sense. And equating God within that life further complicates things. And without God, the inner being does not find any satisfaction. The inner being needs God for it to all make sense. And the way we are reading our religious texts, the Quran, again, is not helpful. So what we do is we just let those questions go. We are either not mindful of them, or at times if they occur to us, we just let them go because they just don't make sense. At times we try and squeeze answers, meanings and whatever, but deep down we know that. You see, our story is like people who feel that they have just begun their journey on a little island without ever thinking that are there other islands? Is there a history to all of this? Are we all interconnected? These questions haven't arisen in our minds, especially in the minds of the faithful. Now, the reason for that is because the faithful have already been given a narrative. Your grandfather, Adam, ate from something, he came here, as a result, you're all here. And that's how faithful doesn't want to entertain those deeper questions. Where am I from? Does it all have a greater meaning than the one that I've carved out in my mind? You see how unproductive life becomes. But if you understand that no, we are all interconnected, there's a lot going on. It's a gift of God. Every breath is priceless. On the day of Qiyamah, the Quran says to us that if a guilty were to give earth filled with gold in order for it, that soul, to be saved from damnation, it would not be accepted. This is how expensive these breaths are. Every moment on this earth is a debt. Now we need to seriously understand what's going on. The Blessed Prophet said that a believer will never take his own life, no matter how unbearable the life may become. He will never end his own life. The Quran says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not kill yourselves. The Prophet said, don't ask for death in your prayers. Now, obviously, with that insight of his, he explained to us. We don't know the meaning of it. Life is unbearable. God made this unbearable life for me. And if I take my life away, I will be condemned for all eternity. And these are the sort of things we struggle. But if people could understand that there has been a past, there is something phenomenal going on. You are not an isolated creation of God. There is a lot going on here. Then maybe we can get better perspective and lead meaningful lives. If we could understand that every state of ours on this earth, health and sickness, richness and poverty, annoying people around us, I don't mean that from my side, yes? But normally people just say, the annoying people around us, there is a reason for all of this. We need to make the most out of it, but we can't unless our minds open up to the greater reality and picture. Now Quran says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. We are going to constantly test you. But why does God want to test us? Why should He want to constantly test us? He gives the response. فَبَشِّرْ الصَّابِرِينَ. Give the glad tidings to those who persevere. إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They have a direction. Whenever difficulties befall them, they say, we are Allah's or we are from Allah. And to Him we are returning. That gives you a glimpse that, look, something profound is happening. You have come from some place, you are making your way back to that place. Now ask the question, what has happened there? Can I get some idea? What am I doing here in order to get back there? This would then make this life very meaningful. We would not crumble with despair under pressure. You see, we often remind ourselves, as Hussein ibn Ali said, I'm sorry for the prelude because we're going to go through so many verses today. It's going to be so tiring. So I think we need this prelude, right? Just to freshen us up. You see, I often remind myself of what Hussein Salamullah alayhi said in his dua. He said, "O Lord, you have taken care of me in the womb of my mother when I was unworthy of being mentioned. You fashioned me, clothed me with flesh. You sustained me therein. You brought me into this world. Before you brought me, you made sure that my sustenance awaited me. I didn't even know what sustenance meant at that point, but you ensured that prior to the arising of need, that the need was met with. You raise the sun, send down the showers, grow the crops. O one who has looked after me so well in my yesterday, shall you abandon me in my tomorrow if my tomorrow is destined to come?" Now, when you have this, why should you lose sleep at night, worrying about tomorrow? Look at how phenomenally Hussein explains that if tomorrow is destined, then you will take care of me as you took care of me at the time when I couldn't even think or understand. But this only makes sense if we ourselves understand that there is something phenomenal going on. You see, I know that is not easy and it is very, very difficult. But some die young, some die old. There is a reason for why things happen in the way they happen. We need to glimpse at that thing. Now, later on today we will say, وَإِذَا نُفِخَ فِي السُّورِ فَلَا أَنْسَابَ بَيْنَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ. And when it is blown in the trumpet, they will have no familial ties. وَلَا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. And they will not be asking each other of who's the father, who's the son. لَقَدْ جِئْتُمُونَا فُرَادًا كَمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ. You have come to us individually as we created you for the first time. You are created individually, you have come individually. Today you have no familial ties and you will not be asking each other about your families. Something else has gone on, something totally different to what you imagined yourself to be. So the Quran gives us glimpses of this. Now you might ask, why don't I remember? You see, this world would not be this world had our minds been filled with knowledge about what has happened. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. They ask you concerning the spirit. قُلْ, say, the ruh min amri rabbi is from the command of my Lord. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنْ عِلْمٍ إِلَّا قَلِيلٍ. And you have not been given save a little of knowledge. Now that ending part of that verse is a universal statement, unrestricted statement, not only about the ruh, but you have not been given but a little of knowledge. And there's a reason why you haven't been given the knowledge that you should have, because otherwise this world would become meaningless. It will not serve the purpose of a test. If you were to understand, I'm not this body at all. I'm not a father, I'm not a son, I'm not a husband, I'm nothing. I'm not a male, I'm not a female. At that time, if somebody cuts your limbs off, you will say, so what? You won't feel that anxiety. You won't feel that fear. You won't want to build towers. You won't want to reach the moon if you already know that that moon is not as real as you understand it to be. So ilm had to be taken away or reduced, and we needed to struggle to get it back in order to make sense of our own existence. Why has this happened in that way? This is something we need to ask and we need to understand. The first thing the Quran awakens us to is the broader context. If you were to look at Surah Araf, Surah 7, verse 38. Now I know as we start to give a thesis and to synthesize between different things, I know there will be a comeback in saying, well, these verses may not mean what you're saying. That's perfectly fine, but just retain them and think over them. Surah Araf, verse 38. قال ادخلوا في قد خلت من قبلكم من الجن والإنس في النار. Now, if you were to study the verses of the Quran, they will say, يَوْمَ نَحْشُرُهُمْ جَمِيعًا, the day in which we raise them all together. We will see this verse. يَا مَعْشَرَ الْجِنِّ لَقَدْ اسْتَكْثَرْتُم مِّنَ الْإِنسِ. O jinn, you are far more than ins. So it seems day of Qiyamah is a day in which everybody will be raised together within the earth and within the heavens. And we will talk about them. What is the nature of earth and heaven? Yeah, in a little while. So now, the Quran is saying everybody will be raised together. The jinn will be told, you are far greater in numbers than man, because jinn are not only those demonic creatures that we imagine, fanciful creatures. These are existences of God that are littering the whole skies, very intelligent beings. We will go into that in the next few days if we get the time. In any case, the day in which we raise them all, that is what the day of Qiyamah is. Now, everybody is raised. At this point, qala, he says, udkhulu, enter, fi umamin, within the communities, qad khalat min qablakum, who have existed prior to you. Min al jinni wal ins, amongst jinn and man, finnar, in fire. They have all gone into the fire. All of you, whoever is guilty, enter into the fire. What does that say? That says that they are raised on the day of Qiyamah. Told, enter into the fire together with those nations that have gone before you of jinn and ins. So this is not the first story. This is not the first Qiyamah. This is not the first hell. This is not the first heaven that we are going to encounter. Things have already happened. Now, you find these sort of verses in the Quran. كُلُّ مَا دَخَلَتٌ لَعْنَتْ أُخْتَهَا. Every time a community enters in there, they curse its sister community that has preceded it. حَتَّى إِذَا ادَّارَكُوا فِيهَا جَمِيعًا. Until when they are all gathered together, the last one will say about the first one, God caused them double chastisement because they actually paved the path for us to come into here. In another verse, people will ask, who has made this place in hell for us? So it actually is quite comical. There are people in hell, they're saying, you know, those guys who are coming after us, let's make it even more unbearable for them. Read that verse in the Quran. It's quite comical that they're saying, look, we are burning, we are suffering, let's increase the torment. I mean, as if it's not bad already as it is, let's make it worse. And people who come afterwards will curse them. Who did this for us? You know, as if it's not bad enough. Now, if you were to study the Quran, I just need to give this particular note here. Jinn, ins, and malak do not mean what we have naively. The Quran is very particular. It's talking about insan and it's talking about bashar. Bashar means skin, exposed skin. Yeah? In the Quran, Shaitan says, I will not prostrate for a bashar, to a bashar that you have created out of dust. So insan is a broader reality. Within insan is subsumed bashar. Jinn is a much, much broader reality in the Quran, as we will explore if time allows. But jinn are either angels or below angels. And angels is such a generic, broad term in the Quran that you can classify them in their different ranks. And we will talk about that later on. So the angels that are told to prostrate before Adam, yes? The Salawat. So the angels who are commanded to prostrate before Adam, one of them does not prostrate. Yes? And the Quran says, وَكَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ. He was amongst the jinn. So then, if the angels were asked to prostrate, then Iblis had a decisive argument against the Lord. You didn't ask me to prostrate. I'm not an angel, I'm a jinn. You see, we are misunderstanding. As Imam Sadiq says, there is a group of angels that are, a group of jinn that are angels. So all those who were commanded to prostrate before Adam were jinn angels. And commanding them to prostrate before Adam was for them to acknowledge Adam's superiority. This will become clear in a little while. Not that Adam was the spiritual boss, Adam's superiority in knowledge, because Adam could conduct a particular function on earth. I am leaving a Khalifa. Khalifa is the one who, in my place, looks after something. Yeah? And they said, why don't you make one of us Khalifa? He said, well, he has the knowledge base that is required. You don't. Now surrender to him that you will follow his instructions. The story could be something like that. In any case, I want to challenge our assumption. Look at our assumption. We say Adam ate from the tree. As a result, he came to earth. That's our assumption, isn't it? And all the toil that ensues after that. Now, if you read the biblical account, you will find a very detailed account as to how Adam ate and how he came down here and how the tribulations started with Adam. This is not right, and Quran challenges this. In the one hand, the Quran says, I will create a Khalifa upon earth. The angels, before Adam has consumed of the fruit, they say what? أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءِ. Will you create therein the one who will cause corruption and spill blood? Angels don't know that Adam's going to go and eat that fruit. So we say that Adam, because he ate from that tree, he became infested with that nature. As a result, we became aggressive people. We normally pin it on Adam's consumption from that tree, don't we? All this evil state. And had Adam not eaten, think about it, we'll come to these verses, Adam would not have been exposed to the fact of his sexuality. The Quran says, and we'll read this, وَبَدَأَ يَخْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَا مِنْ وَرَقِ الْجَنَّةِ. They began to cover themselves with the leaves of paradise, their private parts. And they felt a sense of embarrassment at the sense of knowing their sexuality, the knowledge of right and wrong that the Bible talks of. But before Adam ate from that fruit, the angels already knew that he's going to procreate. Right? So how do you then equate the consumption from the tree when the angels already knew? Jinn angels or whatever angels they were. Let's build into this story slowly and gradually. If you look at Surah Sa'ad, this is a very interesting point that's coming out. 38:7. Qala, he said, Ya Iblis, O Iblis, ma mana'aka an tasjuda lima khalaqtu bi yaday. What prevented you from prostrating to the one I have created with my two hands? Astakbartam kunta min al-alin. Are you behaving in pride, or are you amongst the lofty ones? So the lofty ones, whoever they are exempted from prostrating before Adam. You have to admit a lot of things are going on here. There are the lofty ones, there are the jinns, there are the angels. All of these are there. And not everyone is prostrating before Adam. Now, those lofty ones, I do not feel they are the prophets of God, because they are about to come through Adam anyway. So how can it be the lofty ones be the prophets of God? So we have to admit that those who are exempted were above and well above Adam. And that shows that we are not ashraful makhluqat, and I don't know where that comes from. It's not in the Quran. The Quran says we gave the children of Adam preference and nobility above much of what we have created, not everything we have created. We are very arrogant. We think we are the ashraful makhluqat. How can these people be ashraful makhluqat who can't even keep calm and talk with each other through love, who fight with each other and think ill of each other? How can that be, this despicable creature, be ashraful makhluqat? Look at how deluded we are. We are totally deluded and arrogant. Now, just to point out properly that Adam eating the fruit was another thing altogether. Before Adam ate the fruit, it was all known. Something had happened. We don't know what, and we are trying to find out what, or at least get a glimpse of it. If you go to Surah Isra, Surah 17, verse 61 to 65. I'm only going to translate what we need here, yeah? But the whole story is about the creation of Adam. With قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ قَالَ أَسْجُدُ لِمَنْ خَلَقْتَ طِينًا. Iblis did not prostrate. He said, why should I prostrate to the one that you have created of dust? Then Iblis turns to the Lord. قَالَ أَرَأَيْتَ هَذَا الَّذِي كَرَّمْتَ عَلَيَّ. Do you see this one whom you have given preference above me? لَإِنْ أَخَّرْتَنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. Lord, if you were to spare me until the day of Qiyamah, لَأَحْتَنِكَنَّ ذُرِّيَّتَهُ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. I will uproot his progeny except for a few. Now this is before Adam eats the fruit. Iblis knows he will have a progeny. So if you were to say through the eating of the tree, Adam and Hawa became aware of their sexuality, and that became the means of procreation, then Iblis knows even before that they will be procreating. The angels already know that these guys will be corrupting in the land and spilling blood. Can you see that? Now, the question comes here, that if that story is as naively accepted as we do, that Adam ate from the tree and understood the knowledge of right and wrong as the Bible says, then in that case, God, without the knowledge of an individual that something is wrong, cannot put that person into hell. It is only when you can hold somebody as blameworthy, right? When a child does something wrong, child cannot be tried, because that is not wrong in the sense of intentional wrong after knowledge that it is wrong. Yes? The attribution of wrongfulness, the attribution of murder, of theft, only comes after recognition that that property is somebody else's, that life is sacred, and then with the intent, that's when you can say this is wrong and the person is held blameworthy. But these verses are very clear that no, they will know what is right and what is wrong. In any case, قَالَ اذْهَبْ, the Lord said, go away. فَمَنْ تَبِعَكَ مِنْهُمْ, whoever follows you amongst his offspring, فَإِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ جَزَاؤُكُمْ جَزَاءٌ مَوْفُورًا. Indeed, hell will be your recompense. So this is before Adam understanding that he is male gendered, and Hawa understanding that she is female gendered. Before the whole notion of procreation comes into their heads, before they know right and wrong according to the Bible. It's already known. They will be corruptive, and their corruption and spilling of blood will not be like the animals, will be like human agents who understand right from wrong. So the consumption of the tree does not bring about a sense of right and wrong. They already had it. It's already assumed that they will have it. وَاسْتَفْزِزْ مَنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ مِنْهُمْ بِصَوْتِكَ وَأَجْلِبْ عَلَيْهِمْ بِخَيْلِكَ وَرِجْلِكَ وَشَارِكْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ وَعِدْهُمْ. Now look at the way Lord is speaking. Go, beguile them. entice them, mislead them, busy them with their wealth, with their children, and keep on promising them. And shaitan does not promise them save deception. Then the Lord says, Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan wa kafa bi rabbika wakila. As far as my creatures are concerned, you have no authority over them. So it is already known that there will be a progeny, there will be corruptive, they will know right from wrong, they will go to hell, and there are chosen people of God whom shaitan will not be able to overpower. In another place, shaitan says, I will misguide them all, apart from mukhlasin, those ones that you have chosen. I will not be able to do anything. How does shaitan have all this knowledge? If it's not a story that he's been witnessing again and again, how does he have this knowledge that these people will be corruptive if he has no knowledge that of the nature of these people before Adam eats from the tree? So something else is going on here. There is a story prior to Adam's fall. Surah Araf 7:11 to 18. So angels prostrate, Iblis doesn't prostrate. Why didn't you prostrate? You created me from fire, you created him from dust. Now look at the wordings here in the next verse. They're very telling. Qala fahbit minha. He said, drop from it. Yeah? Drop from it. Even to Adam later on, it's been said, drop from it. Now there's a big difference between get out and drop. There is something happening here. There is a change, a full change here. In any case, we'll come back to that afterwards. قَالَ فَهْبِتْ مِنْهَا فَمَا يَكُونُ لَكَ أَن تَتَكَبَّرْ فِيهَا. You have no right to behave with pride in here. فَخَرُوجْ إِنَّكَ مِنَ السَّاغِرِينَ. Get out. So there is get out and drop. So dropping is in rank. Leave as in away from my presence. قَالَ أَنظِرْنِي إِلَّا يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُونَ. Iblis said, spare me until the day you raise them. So he knows there will be a day of raising as well for these guys. He's obviously witnessed this thing going on and on. It's a story that's been retold and replayed over and over with others. قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. He said, you are spared. Now look at the thing that Iblis says here. قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي. He says, Lord, the deception that the way you've deceived me, aghwa, the way you've deceived me, because you told me to prostrate, and you know I have that tendency of not relenting, and you deliberately put that snare in front of me and trapped me. Bima aghwaytani. The way you have deceived me. لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. Isn't that amazing? I will sit on your straight path and block them. So Iblis knows there is a straight path. In another place, Allah says to Iblis, you have no power over my creatures. هَذَا صِرَاطٌ عَلَيَّ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. This is the path that leads directly to me. At least we understand one thing from these verses, that something has gone on. We were to do all of the things that we are doing. For what reason, we still don't understand at present. But there is a path that leads to God. Iblis knows it. And God says, this is a path that leads to me. And the chosen ones and the good ones, you will not be able to do anything to them, and they will come back. That is some place that we have left. Something has happened, we have left it, and we are making our way back there. It is that much we can understand. So he says, I will sit on the straight path. ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُم مِّن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ. I'll come from before them and from behind them and from their right and from their left. وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. You, Lord, will not find majority of them thankful to you for the bestowal that you've given them. Now, thankfulness obviously means utility of the bestowal accurately, right? قَالَ أُخْرُجْ مِنْهَا مَذْمُومًا مَدْحُورًا. Get out of here, despised. لَمَنْ تَبِعَكَ مِنْهُمْ. Whoever follows you from them. This is prior to Adam eating anything. لَأَمْلَأَنَّ جَهَنَّمَ مِنْكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. I will fill the hell with all of you all together. So this is something that is being discussed prior to Adam going to the garden. Let us examine the verses of Surah Hijr. We're not going to finish this today, but I want to take this slowly. 15:30 to 45. So 15, 16, 17 we can omit. 18. قَالَ فَخْرُجْ مِنْهَا فَإِنَّكَ رَجِيمٌ. Get out of here. You are chased away. قَالَ وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكَ اللَّعْنَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الدِّينِ. And upon you is la'na till the day of resurrection. قَالَ رَبِّ فَأَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Lord, spare me till the day that they are raised. قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. You are spared إِلَى الْيَوْمِ الْوَقْتِ الْمَعْلُومِ, to a particular time. Now again, Iblis says, قال ربي بما أغويتني لأزينن لهم في الأرض ولأغوينهم أجمعين. Lord, due to the way you have deceived me, I will beautify for them whatever is in the earth. The earth is not supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be beautiful in a different way. But the beauty that we encounter of the earth through attachment, that beauty is not there in the earth. That beauty is something that we are creating in our minds. Yeah? وَلَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. And I will misguide them all. Now this is Shaitan speaking before Adam coming to earth. So are you seeing these two stories? It is known that these people will be corruptive, they will spill blood. It is known that they will go to hell. It is known they will come to earth. So what is Adam's fruit, Adam eating the fruit or the apple or whatever it was he ate, how does that equate within the story? That is a bit of an anomaly. If you were to look in the Bible will give you two things about Adam. In Genesis, when God creates things, He creates Adam to watch over all His creatures. Then at a second stage, God creates Adam and breathes spirit into Adam. There are two different versions of creation of Adam. Now, if you look at the Quran closely, and I'm not sure about this, but it's something that strikes me. The Christians, when they came with their arguments that Isa is the Son of God because he did not have a father, that seems to be one of the arguments that comes out from those verses. The Quran responds, Inna masal Isa and Allah, that the example of Isa with Allah is like Adam. He made him from dust, وَقَالَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونَ, and he said to him, be, and he was. So here is Adam, be, and he is. And here is Adam, إِذَا نَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. And when I breathe into him of my spirit, then fall prostrated to him. One is with the command be, and the other one with the mediation of the spirit. I'm not sure if that is the distinction that runs parallel with the biblical account of the creation of Adam. The biblical scholars themselves are a little bit confused that was Adam created twice? Adam and Adam. Here again, we are seeing in the Quran that there is slight ambiguity. So here we see a few more things. قَالَ رَبِّي بِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي, I will beautify for them. إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ, save for those creatures of yours who you have picked out. قَالَ هَذَا صِرَاطٌ عَلَيَّ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. The Lord says, this is my straight path. إِنَّ عِبَادِي لَيْسَ لَكَ عَلَيْهِمْ سُلْطَانٌ إِلَّا مَنِ اتَّبَعَكَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. My creatures, you have no authority over them, save for those of the ones that are deceived and follow you. وَإِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ لَمَوْعِدُهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. And hell is the promised place for them all. لَهَا سَبْعَةُ أَبْوَابٍ لَكُلِّ بَابٍ مِّنْهُمْ جُزْءٌ مَقْسُومٌ. Hell has 7 doors, and every door has a quota. So from here we are seeing a few things. That it was known prior to the eating of the fruit that Adam will have progeny, he will come to this earth, there will be bloodshed. It was known that some of his progeny will go to hell. But the destiny that will lead them to the justification of being thrown to hell and heaven was carved out in this world. Because when Shaitan said, I will take them to hell, or I will misguide them, and God said, I will fill the hell with you, you couldn't do that before sending them here. After they come here and they behave in an unrighteous manner, they become worthy of hell. Can you see that? So it was known that these people will go to hell and some will go to paradise, but there was no justification for throwing them into hell. The justification for hell and heaven comes from this world. Now it's amazing, if you read the Quran, the angels or whoever is talking there need justification. And we showed Pharaoh signs, and every one of them were bigger than the ones before them. And whenever we took away the chastisement to spare them to reach that point that they were supposed to reach, so the destiny was directing them slowly and gradually, that this is the sign, you've prayed now, it will be removed. Now you will reach the second stage, then the third stage, and finally, walamma asafuna. And when they finally angered us and we became hopeless of their salvation, we killed them and drowned them all. In another place, and we send them tribulations, so that they may, through the affliction, turn to us repentant. But they did not. And when they forgot us, we opened the doors of all blessings upon them. And when they began to rejoice and they forgot whatever they were being promised, we seized them and destroyed them. فَقُطِعَ دَابِرُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. And the people who were rebellious were totally uprooted. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So you can see that those destinies that were already understood, that these people are going to behave unrighteously, those destinies had to have justification. And for their justification, we are here. And this is where Rumi makes sense. Rumi says, why is it called Day of Qiyamah? He said, because at night, copper and gold goes hand in hand. You can't tell copper from gold. It is only in the daytime that the gold shines and the copper becomes dull, that you can say this is copper and this is gold. Everything becomes clear. It is as Rumi says, there is something lurking inside there. Shaitan is teasing it out of you. It's not that Shaitan is a good person. He's bad. But he's serving that purpose here according to Rumi. So it is known they're going to go to hell. It is known they're going to go to heaven. But they have to play it out here. Now, is it all destined? Firmly destined? The Quran refuses to say it's destined. The people of Nabi Yunus. 2 years ago, I was getting Yunus mixed up with somebody else. Is Yunus the one who was in the belly of that object that we call fish? Yunus, right? So the Quran says, you can't go into the belly of a fish and live there. How is that possible? It's something else. So the Quran says, if there ever was a people who were saved due to their repentance, it was the people of Nabi Yunus. The adab was coming upon them. They repented with their hearts. We took the adab away, and instead, Yunus was chastised in the belly of the fish, I'll say it. Whatever it was. Can you see that? So the destiny has changed. So it doesn't mean it's a fixed destiny, but by and large, things are happening in a fixed way. We're going to discuss this at length later on. But here we are playing out our destinies, but at every moment we have the ability to change our destiny. Now, what was the cause? As I said, I'm not going to finish it today, so the next 3 days we still have. What was the cause through which Iblis was able to entice Adam? Read the Quran. Surah Taha, Surah 20, verse 120, 123. Think about it. There must have been something quite profound for Adam to be enticed, right? I mean, Adam had everything. He had the whole garden. He had authority, dominion upon every creature that was there, right? Because he was the Khalifa, he was looking after everything, watching over. Read the Genesis account. The book of Genesis, you will see the prominent position that Adam enjoyed and how he felt lonely and Hawa was created for him. Fill in the the gaps that are in the Quran from the Genesis story. He had everything. Iblis had to come out with something phenomenal. فَوَسْوَسَ إِلَيْهِ الشَّيْطَانِ Shaitan enticed Adam. قَالَ يَا Adam. O Adam, he said, هَلْ أَدُلُّكَ Shall I direct you عَلَى شَجَرَةِ الْخُلْدِ to the tree of everlasting life? وَمُلْكٍ لَا يَبْلَى and a kingdom that will never perish. Can you see that? And I don't want to read all of this. وَدَلَّهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ He deceptively led them. Why did Adam fall for it? Why did Adam fall for it? Let's read another set of verses. I'm saying 120 to 123. Read it at home properly. We don't have the time here. Surah Araf, Surah 7, verse 19 to 25. وَيَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةِ O Adam, you and your spouse live in Jannah. فَكُلَّا مِنْ حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا Wherever you like, eat from it. وَلَا تَقْرَبَ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ Don't go near this tree. فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ Lest you become of the oppressive souls. Next verse. فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانِ Shaitan incited them. لَيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُرِيَ عَنْهُمَا مِنْ سَوْآتِهِمَا In order to disclose to them their private parts that were covered for them. Now, it doesn't mean that they didn't have private parts. It means that their state of innocence did not allow them to recognize it. Right? The state of childlike innocence, and this story is continued in the previous set of verses as well. Their childlike innocence did not allow them to understand. So they had no knowledge what private parts means and what sexuality means and all of those things. But Shaitan's aim was to do that. Yeah? Shaitan's aim was to do that. So what did he do? He said, وَقَالَ So he said, مَا نَهَاكُمَا رَبُّكُمَا عَنْ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ Your Lord has not prevented you from eating from this tree. إِلَّا But because أَن تَكُونَ مَلَكَيْنِ But that you should become two angels. Now Adam should have said, all the angels have prostrated in front of me anyway. Can you see that? He should have said that. I don't want to be an angel. I'm superior to them. Adam knew there was something phenomenal there. He knew it. He was aware of his mortality, that he's going to die. He was aware that his kingdom is not stable. Things are changing constantly. So he's enticed. I want an ever-living life. I want a kingdom that never ends. This is then that murky ground where we challenge God. Can you see that? Because God is Khalid, lives forever. Something has gone on. Illa an takun malakain, save that you should become two angels. So Adam should have said, well, God prevents me from becoming angel, so I shouldn't eat it. But Adam said, no, God doesn't want me to become angel, so I'll eat it and become an angel, and then nothing can touch me. Can you see? There is something so deep in these verses, something so deep. The biblical account is very distorted. I would not ask anybody to read that because that's very, very distorted. In any case, أو تكون من الخالدين, or you should become ever living, two ever living souls. And Adam fell for it because Shaitan said, وَقَاسَمَهُمَا, and he swore to them, إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ, I mean well for you and admonish you properly. Now, the thing is, whatever Shaitan said is true anyway. You see, look, after Adam ate, he came here, then he died, then he'll go to paradise, and he will become ever living. Can you see that? It wasn't a lie. The only thing is, a lot of Adam's children are going to hell as well with Iblis. That's the problem. So, in one sense, we will become angelic, all of us. I mean, I know you think I'm an angel already, but inshallah, we'll all be angels soon. Well, may there be a long time before we become angels in that way. You see, we will become angels. We are angelic beings. We are those lofty beings that Adam wanted to be. How did we get into this mess? That's the thing. How did we get into this mess? In any case, had Adam not eaten from that tree, those angelic type of beings that had to go to hell would not have gone to hell. So it's amazing, isn't it, that it was already known that these guys will mess up in a very, very big way. And the mess was to be justified by coming into this world. All of that is happening sequentially. Now, how do you piece it together? What is the real story? For us, what is important right now is, well, what has happened before? What were we before we came into this messy situation? What were we before Adam had to become embodied? What has happened there? Are there two stories running parallel? Is it one story? How do you reconcile? In any case, from tomorrow we'll start the discussion on, well, what is dunya? Adam drops to dunya. Now, dunya, if you look at the Quran carefully, is not earth. Dunya is a state of existence. And we are not the only ones who are existing in dunya. The whole of this universe with all the creatures within the universe are within hayatud dunya, are within the life of dunya, as we will make clear tomorrow. All the creatures above in the heavens are all within hayatud dunya. And we will see tomorrow that hayatud dunya is not the real life. Yeah? Nothing of hayatud dunya is real. None of us are real in that way. Neither are our bodies, our relationships, nothing. Our anxieties, our fears, our desires, none of it is real. There is something profoundly different going on here that we need to awaken to. Now think about it. The fact that Imam Hussein could call out to Allah in the way that he was, in that epic battle of his, and as he is progressing, he wasn't in this world anymore. He had understood and he had purged himself of hayatud dunya. And those with him had also purged himself of hayatud dunya. They were souls, angelic beings, not angels, the ones who prostrated in front of Adam, but the supreme ones. This is where that man was. If you look at his journey on the day of Ashura, so purged, not only of the physical pains, but of emotional pains and heartache. A person who has lost his Akbar and Asghar and Abbas, who is so hungry and thirsty, so deprived, for him to radiate in the way he radiated, shows his soul had achieved that rank. It is the night of Ashura. Imam Hussein gathers his faithful, examines their resolve. Then he says, know that each and every one of you shall be killed tomorrow. The faithful of Hussein rejoiced at the prospect of death in the way of Allah for their beloved Hussein. They scattered. Imam Hassan had 4 to 5 sons that were with Imam Hussein. One of the younger sons, by the name of Qasim, turns to Imam Hussein and he said, "Oh uncle, will I also die tomorrow for you?" He said, "Qasim, how do you understand that?" He said, sweeter than honey if it is for you. The Imam embraced him and cried. It was the day of Ashura. The companions fell. Akbar fell. The brothers of Abbas fell. The sons of Muslim fell. Qasim was coming to Imam when it was the time for single combat. The Imam would turn his face away. Finally, Qasim came to Imam and he said, "Oh, uncle, allow me to defend you and our honor." Imam Hussein embraced him and cried for a while. Then he took Qasim's turban and cut it in two. One part he placed upon his shoulders, chest, and back, like a shroud. And the other part he placed upon Qasim's head. And the flap of it he drew and covered Qasim's face and placed it upon his back. When Qasim settled, Kitab al-Irshad says that his sandal was broken and was dangling, and his feet would not reach the stirrup of the horse. As he began to advance, Hussein and Abbas stood upon a hill. Abbas was ready to instruct Qasim as to how to fight. Hussein was looking and praying to Allah, allow my child to kill his opponent. A warrior arose from the side of Ibn Sa'd. Qasim put him to death. His brother came. Qasim put him to death. Another brother came. Qasim put him to death. Their father came in a rage. I expressed the sentiment of Hussein. Inadvertently, Hussein looks towards the heavens and he says, "Oh Allah, my Qasim is but a child and thirsty. This is one of the most renowned warriors of Kufa. Oh Allah, allow my Qasim victory upon this man." Qasim put him to death. Umar ibn Sa'd said, "Await not. Surround him and finish him off." As they surrounded him, Qasim was struck upon his blessed head. He fell upon his face upon the dust and he cried out to his uncle. Hamid ibn Muslim says, like an eagle, Hussein left his spot and pursued the person who had struck Qasim. As he came to that person, Hussein struck him, but the armies came to save him. And there was so much dust that had risen that I could not see anything. In the cloud of dust, all I did was hear the lamenting and the crying of Hussein. I had not heard Hussein cry out so loud on that day. When the dust settled, I saw Hussein's cheek upon the torn chest of Qasim. And Hussein was lamenting and saying, "O child, you called unto me, but I reached you not in time. It is very difficult for your old uncle to see you depart." Qasim was rubbing his heels upon the dust. Hussein carried Qasim's body. They record the scene that the body of Qasim was in the arms of Hussein. His feet were dragging upon the dust of Karbala. Hussein brings Qasim and lays his body next to the body of Akbar, and then places his right hand upon the chest of Akbar and left hand upon the chest of Qasim, then looks to the heavens in despair and says, "Oh Allah, I have lost all my children." Matam Hussein.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, لاش قاسم پہ چلائے اکبر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، لاش قاسم پہ چلائے اکبر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، دیکھو خیمے میں شور و فغاں ہے، دیکھو خیمے میں شور و فغاں ہے، غم میں ہر ایک نوحہ قناں ہے، بال بکھرائے روتی ہے مادر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، او لاش قاسم پہ چلائے اکبر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا، او تم نشانی تھے امو حسن کی، تم نشانی تھے امو حسن کی، بن گئے آج زینت برن کی، ٹکڑے ٹکڑے ہوا جسم اطہر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، لاش قاسم پہ چلائے اکبر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، دیکھو اماں کا اپنی بڑھاپا، دیکھو اماں کا اپنی بڑھاپا، خاک ملتی ہے چہرے پہ دکھیا، تم ہو اب دو گھروں کا مقدر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، لاش قاسم پہ چلائے اکبر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، بال بکھرائے بیٹھی ہے فروا، خاک ملتی ہے چہرے پہ دکھیا، دیکھو اٹھ کر یہ مادر کا منظر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، لاش قاسم پہ چلائے اکبر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، اپنے غم میں نہ اتنا رلاؤ، اپنے غم میں نہ اتنا رلاؤ، رحم شیخ کی ضعیفی پہ کھاؤ، دو تسلی تو امو کو اٹھ کر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، لاش قاسم پہ چلائے اکبر، چھوڑ کر ہم کو بھیا نہ جاؤ، السلام علیکہ یا نبی اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا رسول اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا حبیب اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا امیر المؤمنین، السلام علیکہ یا فاطمة الزہراء سیدتی نساء العالمین، السلام علیکہ یا خدیجة الکبری ام المؤمنین، السلام علیکہ یا ایہا الحسن المجتبی، السلام علیکہ یا ابا عبداللہ، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وعناخت برحلك عليك مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أخوات الحسين، السلام عليكم يا شهداء كربلاء وأسراء كربلاء جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولى ابن مولى، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلطان أبا الحسن مولانا علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء. سلام الله وعلى آبائك السبعة وأبنائك الأربعة وعلى أختك فاطمة المعصومة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا حجة الله يا ابن الحسن، يا صاحب العصر والزمان، سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان، السلام عليك يا إمامي وإمام الإنس والجان، أجر الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وجعلنا من أوانك وأنصارك والمستشهدين بين يديك. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. الفاتحة مع الصلوات.